Good morning and welcome to Fastpass Day. It is 60 days before I check into my Walt Disney World Resort Hotel. That means it's Fastpass Day. It's a holiday among all of us Disney nerds. We really look forward to Fastpass Day. You gotta wake up early and be ready for it, and it's good. So that's today for me. At the time of filming, it's Thursday, so when this video goes up on Sunday for you guys, it will no longer be Fastpass Day, but I will still be celebrating. So I would like to talk about Fastpasses. I want to give you some tips. I don't think my Fastpass game is perfect, but I can logically think through well enough to get Fastpasses that work for me and how I vacation. So I'll give you some tips and let you know what my thought process is as I'm booking those. And you may vacation differently, either slower paced or faster paced, but you can kind of modify my tips and my plan to fit your vacation better. But first, let's talk a little bit about Fastpass before I even go into booking them. So if for some reason you don't know what Fastpass is, Fastpass Plus at Walt Disney World, it's Fastpass Plus because it's like the newer upgraded version, but to make things easy, we still just call it Fastpass. So Fastpass Plus at Walt Disney World is the program instilled in order for you to skip the line to ride your favorite rides faster. Everybody who has a park ticket to a Walt Disney World park has access to Fastpass. It's included in your ticket, whether you've purchased those tickets ahead of time with a package, whether you've purchased it from a third party, as long as it's linked to your account on My Disney Experience, or even if you're walking up to the gates the day of, you have access to Fastpasses. It's included in everybody's ticket. It's also included in pass holder tickets, of course. And what it is you go onto My Disney Experience, either the website or the app, and you can go in and add experiences. You add Fastpass reservations, and you're reserving a spot in line for a specific time slot, a 1-hour time slot. And then you just need to go, so say if you wanted to go to Haunted Mansion, on Monday, May 4th, you're going to Haunted Mansion around 11:30-ish. You arrive between 11:40 and 12:40. You just take your Magic Band or your park ticket card and you scan it against the little scanner that they have at the entrance to the ride, and it allows you to cut off a large portion of the line. It's really, really cool. There are downsides to it. It's not a perfect system, but it does help you get on the rides that you really, really want to get on during your trip. So for annual pass holders and regular tickets, you can book your Fastpasses 30 days out. If you're staying at Walt Disney World in a resort on property, you can actually book your Fastpasses 60 days out. And that's one of the huge, huge benefits of staying on property. Not only do you stay within the Walt Disney World bubble and they provide all that transportation to you, but you get to get your Fastpasses before anybody else. And that's saying a lot because there are a lot of people that are checking into Walt Disney World, but you're right along with them, above everybody else. If you're staying off property, so maybe you're at a Good Neighbor hotel or something, you don't get that 60 days. You still only get 30 days. So that's why it's really beneficial to pay a little extra, stay on Walt Disney World property. That's a whole nother video. We'll talk pros and cons sometime. But for Fastpasses specifically, you do want to stay on property, and it doesn't matter if you're at an all-star resort or at the Grand Floridian, 60 days is your day. Now, if you're a little more money conscious and maybe you are staying off property, or if you live nearby and you're an annual pass holder, if you don't have Walt Disney World Resort hotel reservations and other people do, that means people have been booking Fastpasses for the day you're looking at for 30 days already before you can even go in and see what's left. So it is really beneficial to stay on property. That being said, when you are 60 days out, and it will tell you on My Disney Experience what day you can book, the Fastpasses become available at 7 a.m. sharp, right on the dot. If you try at 6:59, you can't make them. If you try at 7 o'clock, boom, there they all are. And they go really, really fast. So you need to be awake, you need to be at your computer, you need to have a plan, and you need to be ready to book your Fastpasses to make sure that you're getting those rides that you really care about getting on. So there is a absolutely huge benefit in doing research before you even sit down, whether you do it the night before or you've been looking at it since the moment you booked your trip. You need to do research beforehand and have a rough plan of a couple different things. So you do need to know which day you'll be at which park during your trip. With the Fastpass system, you are able to book 3 Fastpass reservations per day, and the first 3 are limited to the same park. So if you're there for 3 days, you know your first day you're going to Magic Kingdom, you can book 3 Magic Kingdom rides. Second day, maybe you're going to Epcot, you can book 3 Epcot rides or attractions, but you're not limited to 3 Fastpass reservations total. Once you use up those 3, you can go back into the website or back into the app or to a Fastpass Plus kiosk located within the park and book another Fastpass. It's limited to what's still available that day, but you can still book them, and sometimes there are really good ones left if it's not a very, very busy day. And you can just keep adding them once you use them. So it's a 1 at a time system. After the 3, you can go in, book a 4th. Once you tap in for that 4th, it reopens the Fastpass reservation system to you and you can book a 5th. Then when you tap in to the 5th one, you can reopen, go back in and book a 6th. And that's actually the most I've gotten in one day is 6 Fastpasses. Another thing about those subsequent Fastpasses, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, they don't have to be from the same park as your first 3 were. So if you do plan on park hopping, maybe you want to shoot for getting your first 3 pretty early on in the day for your first park, and then once those 3 are done, maybe on the bus ride over to your next park, you can look into the app and see what's available at Hollywood Studios. So you do need to know which day you'll be in which park, because you can only book your first 3 from the same park. You can't be jumping around everywhere, but you do need to have like a plan of attack. So for example, I know that on Monday, May 4th, 2020, that's the day we land, that's the first day of our trip, we are going to Magic Kingdom. So I've gone through already, and I'll go back and show the process of this, but I've booked Haunted Mansion, Splash Mountain, and Space Mountain for a little bit after we arrive, and then not too late in the evening, so that after this we punch in for the Space Mountain, we can go back in and see what's left in Magic Kingdom for Fast Passes. So that's part of the planning ahead of time. You need to know which park you're going to on which days. You do also want to be familiar with the rides and know which rides you really want to try to get on and which rides really need a Fast Pass. There are a bunch of blog posts out there that talk all about the most sought after rides for Fast Passes and which ones you should really try to book and which ones you really shouldn't. I can't even get into that all here. It'll literally take hours to get through this video, and honestly, those blog posts know more than I do, so just go do a Google and yeah. But wait, it's not just which park and which rides do you want to do. You are also subject to the tier system in the Fastpass Plus system. Some rides are much more popular than other rides, and so rather than allowing you to select all of the newest rides at Hollywood Studios, for your Fast Passes, they limit you to 1 of the really good rides, and then you have to fill your Fast Passes with the other 2. So 3 of the 4 parks are broken into tiers. Tier 1 are going to be your top most sought after rides with the longest wait times that you really, really need to get a Fast Pass for. And Tier 2 is just everything else. I say 3 out of 4 because Magic Kingdom actually does not have tiers. It has 25 attractions available for you to book in a Fast Pass, but none of them are weighted heavier than the other, which is pretty nice. You can go in and you can book 3 mountains if you want, or you can book 3 character meet and greets, however you do your vacations. For Epcot, the attractions that are in Tier 1 are Frozen Ever After, Test Track, Soarin', and currently Epcot Forever, which is the interim fireworks show. I really don't think that you need to use a Fast Pass on Epcot Forever. I think they just put it in there to kind of make it more exciting than it is. I don't know. But you don't need, you can see Epcot Forever from anywhere around World Showcase. You really don't need a Fast Pass for that. Plus, what that will do is it'll take up the latest possible Fast Pass slot and lock you in for only 3 Fast Passes in a day. So I really wouldn't go with Epcot Forever for your Tier 1. So really, I think it's between Frozen, Test Track, and Soarin'. At Animal Kingdom, there are only 2 rides in Tier 1, and it's Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey. I think it's been that way since Pandora opened about 3 years ago. So you cannot fast pass both of the rides in Pandora. You have to choose one or the other. Save your time. Don't go on Navi River. If you've done it once, you've done it a million times. You know how we feel about Navi River here at Rope Drop Disney. It's nice. It's fine. It's just whatever. Flight of Passage is going to be the better use of a fast pass. And Hollywood Studios right now at time of filming is an absolute crazy, jumbled up nightmare. It's almost like there's 3 tiers right now in Hollywood Studios, but that's not actually true. I don't want to confuse you. But as of right now, Rise of the Resistance does not have a fast pass system, and it does not have a standby line. That is going to change soon. I don't have the exact date on it, but right now Rise of the Resistance is boarding groups only. You can only get it by being in the park at park opening, going onto your app, and getting a virtual boarding group. You cannot get a fast pass for Rise of the Resistance. So that leaves our Tier 1 Hollywood Studios fast pass attractions to Smuggler's Run, Slinky Dog Dash, and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. You may only choose one of those 3 for a fast pass. Honestly, if you can get a Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway right now is the time to get it. If you've had your chance to go on Slinky Dog, Smuggler's Run, I've heard that the waits just really aren't as bad as they could be. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is what you really want to try for. It's brand spanking new. It just opened yesterday at the time of filming, and I got one. I'm so excited. You'll see me get one. Woo! So those are the fast pass tiers that you should be aware of. You should know which park you're going to on which day. You should know which rides you really want out of those fast pass tiers. The last thing that you really want to have prepared before you sit down to do your fast passes would be all of your dining reservations. Advanced dining reservations open up 180 days out, so you can really set up all of your dining reservations ahead of time. Now for that, you might need to know which park you're going to if you're eating in park. Another thing with the dining reservations is that the system will allow you to overlap fast pass reservations with dining reservations, so you kind of need to know ahead of time and maybe write it down or have it open in another tab. You need to know when your dining reservations are so that you don't book a fast pass for that hour that you'll be sitting in a restaurant. The system will allow you to do that. It's also kind of helpful to go off of your dining reservations and book fast passes around it. So for example, on Thursday, May 7th, we're going to Animal Kingdom, and I know that we're going to be rope dropping Kilimanjaro Safari, so I'm going to have a morning safari up in here, and then we'll hang out a little bit. We'll do Expedition Everest around 11:15 to 12:15, and I know that we're going to Flame Tree Barbecue for lunch right around that time, so that'll be perfect. Then after that, we go back to Kilimanjaro Safaris for an afternoon safari, so that we'll be able to see a little bit different. Some of the animals will probably be napping, maybe they'll be moving around, maybe they'll be way lazier than they were in the morning. It will be different. We have that available till 3:05, and then sometime around 3:30 or 4 o'clock, we're actually hopping over to Animal Kingdom Lodge because we have Sanaa reservations, and I really wish the reservations for dining showed up in here, but this is just the fast pass reservations up here. We know for this big gap between 3:05 and 7:30, we'll be at Animal Kingdom Lodge hanging out. After dinner at Sanaa, we planned on going back to Animal Kingdom for Pandora to see it at night. When I booked this, the 7:30 p.m. Flight of Passage was the earliest one available. And keep in mind, I was awake at 7 o'clock clicking through trying to get these reservations. That is how fast they go. Of course, people who arrived earlier than me and are still staying through May 7th have already had access to this day. But yeah, even if you're awake right at 7 o'clock, there might not be very much left. So then when we come back to Animal Kingdom from Sanaa, we had always planned on going into Pandora, and it just so happened that the earliest available, or the last available Flight of Passage Fast Pass was 7:30 to 8:30, and I say last because this is when the park closes, 8:30. You can't get any later than this one. First things first, pick out which park you're going to on which day. Second, make those advanced dining reservations. Third, look into the tiers and really decide which rides you want to aim for. And now it's like almost Fast Pass day. It's the night before, you're ready to go to bed and wake up super early to get up to get that 7 a.m. Fast Pass reservation system open. And what I did was I wrote in a notebook which day I'm going to which parks, any dining reservations that I have and which attractions that I really want to try to get fast passes for. And I put like a little star next to the ones that are tier 1, so I know that those are the ones that I have to shoot for first. You have a couple options of how to go through and choose your fast passes. Now, if you're going for about a week, you could just go through straight and do Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, then Thursday. But I would recommend jumping around a little bit to really chase those big rides first. So what I did, as soon as 7 o'clock hit, I jumped into my Wednesday and I looked for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, because some people have already had access to booking this day if they arrived earlier than I did. If somebody arrives on Sunday, their whole trip has already been available to book. So all the Sunday people, Sunday arrivals, Saturday arrivals, even Friday arrivals, if they're staying through Wednesday, they've already had access to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So I really need to jump in there and try to get the big rides first. So rather than going day by day, which is what I usually do, I jumped right into Wednesday. I searched for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway first and took whatever was available, which happened to be the 7:35 to 8:35. From there, you could even, instead of finishing out this day, you could bump back out, maybe go into Thursday and grab Flight of Passage next. Then you could go out and maybe grab whatever Test Track or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is available. It can be really beneficial to bounce around and just book and lock in those tier 1 big fast pass rides first, and then fill in the tier 2s later on. Sort of on the same note is that you can work backwards. So if you want to do like the last day of your trip first, fewer people will have this day unlocked, because maybe, you know, if you're there for 7 days, you're arriving a week before. But if somebody is only there for 3 days and they're arriving midway through your trip, you have access to fast passes for this day before everybody else does. Some people will still already have access to this one, but fewer people will have Sunday opened up than they have like the previous Tuesday opened up. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit beneficial to work backwards from your trip. Do the later days first because fewer people have access to them, and work that way. And these tactics just give you a better chance of getting those tier 1 rides. It doesn't guarantee it, but it gives you a little bit of a leg up. And you also don't have to choose 3 reservations. It's beneficial to do it because you get 3, why not use 3? But like for Epcot, it's kind of hard because there aren't that many attractions, and all the really good attractions are in tier 1. So the tier 2 attractions, between picking those, it's like, do I really need Living with the Land? No. Do I really need Journey into Imagination? No. But it's available. I'm going to use it. I'm going to take advantage of it. And then once you use those 3, it opens you up to all of the fast passes, whether they're tier 1 or tier 2, depending on what's available. So like on this Sunday here, our last fast pass ends at 1:10. And even if we punch right in at 12:10, if we tap our magic band at Frozen Ever After at 12:10, that means we have the rest of the day to look at the available fast passes and grab what we can. So we might be able to get on Frozen Ever After again, or Soarin', or Test Track, those tier 1 attractions, even though we've already done one that day. So that being said, if you're trying to maximize your fast pass use, you want to get as many fast passes in as you possibly can in one day. You'll want to schedule your fast passes for as early in the day as possible. So you'll want to do like a 9 to 10, and then a 10:05 to 11:05, and then 11:10 to 12:10. Because once you tap into that 3rd reservation that you've made, it opens you up to do the 4th, and then the 5th, and then the 6th, one at a time. So it can be beneficial to shoot for those morning and early afternoon fast pass reservations to be able to get more later in the day of. However, let me throw out a contradictory statement, because as with any Walt Disney World trip planning advice, the answer is always, it depends. So it depends on how you like to vacation. It depends on the time available that you have. It just depends. So you can do it that way, where you get all 3 morning reservations done as early as you can. Or another little tip that some people do use is to book your first fast pass actually 45 to 60 minutes after park opening. And the reason for that is, instead of tapping into the park at 9 a.m. when it opens, going right over to Living with the Land and tapping at 9:15 into that attraction. Maybe you want to rope drop something else in the standby line, so you're not rope dropping something with a fast pass. So like, for example, on our Saturday, I didn't go that far out, and you can see Sunday I didn't go that far out either. So I don't really follow this rule too much. It kind of just depends on if I have a rope drop plan. But like for Saturday, we do have a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at 9:20. Now that's 20 minutes after the park opens that we don't have anything. So we could rope drop like Winnie the Pooh or It's a Small World or something in there. Do a short wait for that first thing in the morning, and then go into our fast pass for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. But on our Wednesday here, I don't have our first fast pass until 10:25. And that's because we plan on rope dropping Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And I have no idea what the line is going to be like for that. I fully expect to be in line for about 2 hours for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway directly at park opening. And we'll just have to play it by ear and see how it goes. But by pushing your first fast pass out a little bit, it allows you the time to wait in the standby line for whatever you want to rope drop. Another reason is that most of the rides in the very early morning have lower wait times anyway. Not everybody is there right at park opening. Some people sleep in a little bit, or they have breakfast at a resort. People might not be showing up until 10 a.m. So that 9 to 10 window in the morning might have lower wait times anyway. So you might be able to get a couple of rides done. You don't necessarily have to run to a big ticket item. Maybe you go into Tomorrowland and you get a bunch of little things off the bat. You go into Buzz Lightyear, and then you do the People Mover, and then you do Carousel of Progress, and you have 3 of them done before your first fast pass is even open. So it just depends on how you like to do it, what your plan is. There's really not that many wrong ways to do it. There are a lot of right ways to do it, but those are just a couple different approaches to have. And my final tip, a couple things that maybe you should not prioritize when you're making your fast pass reservations. I would say don't prioritize shows. So that would be Festival of the Lion King, the Beauty and the Beast stage show. The stage shows where it's just a big audience, like a big theater, whether it's indoor or outdoor. You really don't need to fast pass those unless you're maybe a photographer and you want to get those perfect shots and you want to be up close. Every seat is going to be a good seat for those. So if you're just purely trying to see the show, I wouldn't use a fast pass on it. The show starts at the same time no matter what. You're not going to get there much sooner. You're just going to have a little bit better seating. And so I don't really think that that's worth it. I would honestly do a meet and greet fast pass over a stage show fast pass because it will save you time for the meet and greet, whereas the stage show starts at the same time. You just get a better view. And another thing I recommend not choosing for your fast passes would be a nighttime spectacular. You can book fast passes for Epcot Forever, for Rivers of Light, and for Fantasmic, but what that does is it will immediately lock in your 3 fast passes for the day, and then you're done. You can't get those bonus fast passes because the nighttime spectaculars are going to be the last fast pass that you can get. So you won't be able to go back in and get those bonus ones. And again, these shows start at a specific time. You're not saving any time by booking those fast passes. You're just getting a better view. And for Fantasmic, every view is a good view. Rivers of Light, all the seats have a great view. Epcot Forever, at least you'll be like front and center, but you can still see that show from anywhere around the World Showcase. So I just think it's a bad choice to choose a nighttime spectacular as your fast pass. So those are the tips that I have for booking fast passes. I think if you follow any combination of those tips, you'll be able to get really good fast passes. Just make sure you do that pre-work. Be prepared, be ready right at 7 a.m. Go after the Tier 1 rides first and fill in the Tier 2s later. You can jump days around. You can work your last day first because fewer people have access to that day. And maybe leave yourself a little bit of time in the morning to take advantage of shorter wait times as people are filtering into the park still. If you have any questions about the Fastpass system, please leave them in a comment below. If you have an additional tip that maybe I missed out on and it went over my head for some reason, leave that in the comments below. Help out your fellow Fastpassers here. And then let me know too what you think of my Fastpass selections, if I did a pretty good job or if my tactics are totally the opposite of what you do. I don't know, just tell me something. Tap your magic band to the like button on this video, and please consider subscribing to Rope Drop Disney, where we talk about all things Walt Disney World. Thank you so much, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful Fastpass day.